Can you guys see my screen? Oh, good. Right. So I'm joined tonight also by Kendall. I would love if you could introduce yourself. Kendall is the Director of Alumni for CIEE.
Yes, thanks, Pierre. As Pierre said, my name is Kendall Cox, and I am the Director of Alumni Engagement here at CIEE. And before we got started, I just want to talk to you a little bit more about CIEE and being a part of the CIEE family. And so once you're looking to go abroad, right, on a high school program, and once you return, when that plane lands, you will be a part of the CIEE family. And being a part of that family, like, it doesn't end when your program ends. It really just kind of gets started once you've returned home. What we love is for you to stay involved with us as an organization after you've returned. You'll hear from some alumni ambassadors tonight, and that's a great way to get involved, to pay it forward to other students who are looking to go abroad and to talk about your experience. We also host workshops to help you prepare for college, how to leverage your study abroad experience in your college essays. So many different opportunities to be able to expand upon your experience while you're abroad. We have different events designed to support our alumni. Different opportunities for you to get to know college students who've studied abroad, students who participate on our different fellowships, and eventually opportunities for you to re-engage with the center staff that you've met while you were studying abroad, and to reconnect with them and to update them on what you're doing. And I said before that your time doesn't end. So we have different opportunities for you after you have graduated from high school, and you'll be able to continue to go abroad if you'd like. We have college study abroad programs. We partner with universities all over the country. So if you go to college, it's very likely that your institution will have a partnership with CIEE, and you'll be able to participate on any of our programs around the world. We also have internships abroad. So there are opportunities for you to be able to gain valuable skills that'll give you a leg up when you're looking for jobs after you graduate from college. And then we also have TEFL and Teach Abroad. So after you've graduated from college, you can still participate on a CIEE program. And so with our TEFL program, we teach you how to teach English abroad. And then in our Teach Abroad programs, you have the opportunity to go around and teach English in different countries around the world. And I'm going to beat my same drum that your time doesn't end after you have finished your program. Stay in touch. So after you've gotten back, and I'm saying this to our alumni who are going to present to you tonight as well, we always want to know what you're doing. Your success is our success. So we always want to be able to brag on you and what you're doing and how you've gone on to change the world. And how your study abroad experience impacted you. So you'll hear tonight again from some great alumni. And so I look forward to hopefully seeing you all on some CIE programs in the future, and then coming back to work as alumni after you've gotten back. So thank you.
Thanks, Kendall. And the students present tonight are all part of what we call the Global Ambassador Group. So they were all on program last summer, so they're recent alumni. There were the Braves that went back to study abroad after a global pandemic, and they had a great time. By being global ambassadors, they are basically helping us promote study abroad in their community by doing events like this, by sharing material in their schools, by working with their teachers to do presentation with the clubs, language clubs, language classes, etc. So it's really a group of rock star high school students. I wish I was like them when I was 16, but I get to at least work with them now. And tonight we have 4 students, and the format of this presentation is going to be, I really want it to be about you asking questions to the students. So I'm going to ask each of the students to present their experience in 2-minute max, so that we can spend about 10 minutes total hearing their story. And then I will open it up to questions. So feel free to either type questions in the chat. Kendall and I can help curate the questions and feed it to the students, or just turn on your mic and just engage in a conversation. So joining with us tonight, we have Eval and Iman, who went to France last summer in Toulouse. That's actually also my hometown. So it's a special place in my heart. We have Emily, who went to Barcelona, Spain. Jocelyn, who went to Costa Rica to study climate change mitigation in the cloud forest. And I'm not sure if he made it here yet or not. Anthony, speak up if you're here. But Anthony went to Italy to study Italian. Maybe Anthony's not here yet. So he'll catch up with us if he makes it. So let's get started with France. Take it away.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Evan Niman Imoke, but I go by Anyman. Over the summer, I went to Toulouse. I'm currently a senior in Maryland, but I live in Nigeria. So over this program, I think my eyes were really open to how much language and culture really is integrated in the society, because in Toulouse, the south of France, I really learned how to use the French language and really be vulnerable, because prior to coming to Toulouse, I had the opportunity to do a research paper in French, and my question was, how does history and culture contribute to the avoidance of speaking English in France? And I think my trip to Toulouse really enriched my essay, and I was able to complete it finally. But over my time in Toulouse, I stayed with the host family and commuted. We went to classes every week, and after these classes, we had the opportunity to go to major tourist sites and major historical sites in Toulouse. As you can see from several of my pictures, one person who was recurring in a lot of them is Sage, and she was my travel buddy. So we went to majority of places together, and it was really nice to see someone who was interested in as well in making memories and taking pictures. So one thing that I really love to do during my free time is film and media. And over my time in Toulouse, I had the opportunity to film and document this process. And as you can see in the top left, there's a picture of me walking by some artworks, and that was in the Museum Les Abattoirs, where I had the opportunity to look at pieces that connect Toulouse to its history with aviation, as well as its relations with Africa. And it was nice to see some pieces from Nigeria as well. So during this trip, it was a really immersive program, because not only was I able to stay with my host family, but I was able to make so many friends. And I still am in contact with a lot of them today. Several sites like the Capitol, and sorry, I just spoke in French, the Capitol, and also the university where we learned from were really interesting to me. And just having that opportunity to use the metro and find out about more independence was so cool, because coming to Toulouse, I'm currently boarding in school right now, and I never knew I could get to this new level of independence, trying out new things like staying with the host family and using the metro for the first time. So overall, I think this experience was just amazing. It was life-changing, and this was definitely a highlight.
Awesome. Thank you, Animan. Emily, do you want to go next? I think it would be nice if we can hear from all of you, and then move on to question after.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Hey guys, my name is Emily. I'm currently a junior at the Baldwin School, which is in suburban Philadelphia. And this past summer, I had the opportunity to travel to Barcelona for a month, and I was able to stay with a host family and then take language classes and also be able to explore the city. And overall, it was a really nice experience. And I feel like going into it, a lot of concerns that you would have, like this year, especially because of COVID and also just being alone for 4 weeks without your parents, it's a lot. But honestly, after you arrive, it doesn't feel like you're gone for 4 weeks, because it just the time just flew by so quickly. And it was a really nice experience. Everything was planned so nicely, and every time I had a concern or I had a question, there was always someone to reach out to. It was really nicely planned out. I always felt like I had someone I could reach out to, and I always felt like I had a really supportive group, whether that was the staff at CIE or my host family. And it was a really, really great experience. I'm still in contact with my host mom. She's actually pretty active on Instagram. So I follow her and I see what she's doing, and she's always up to something, which is really great. Yeah. And I really loved Barcelona. I chose Barcelona because one, I'm like taking Spanish, and then two, Barcelona is really a really cultural city where they have a lot to offer, both in like the recreational sense and also just like a lot of historical stuff that you see in like books and stuff and you hear about, and then you like actually see them. So it was just a really great experience. And also Barcelona is next to the beach, so we were at the beach quite a lot, and there was always something to do because in the morning we would go on cultural excursions, and then in the afternoon we take like 3-4 hours of like language classes. So like literally every single morning we had like a different like exhibit or like a different like attraction to look at. It was really, really eye-opening. And I think by going to Barcelona, this was like the first time I spent this much time away from my parents in a foreign country also. So I think it really taught me how to be independent and also just managing my time, also like money and stuff like that. So it was kind of like a precursor to like what college is probably going to be like, because you're not going to have your immediate family next to you. So overall, this was a really enriching experience, and I think my Spanish improved a lot. And we also got to meet a lot of great people on this trip, or that was the friends that I met or the staff, and also my host family. So I would encourage you guys to go, not just to Barcelona, but like I'm sure all these programs were great, but like Barcelona especially.
Thanks, Emily. And I would like to specify that none of this is scripted. Jocelyn, I think you joined us. Did you find your way to the meeting?
Yeah, hi.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. So Jocelyn went to Costa Rica.
Hi everyone, I'm Jocelyn, and I'm a senior in high school in Florida, and I went to Monteverde, Costa Rica for 3 weeks to study climate change mitigation. And unlike the other programs, this was definitely a more focused program on a specific topic rather than a language. And we didn't actually have any host families. We were at the campus in Monteverde in the mountains that CIE runs, and it's a completely sustainable and fully controlled campus that was safe from the pandemic, but also taught us a lot of things about sustainability and energy and how they preserved it. And there's also a farm there that we were able to work at, and a lot of cool opportunities that were just at the campus. But then in the mornings, we had student life activities that we would either go away from campus and learn things about Costa Rican culture, food, or go to different like museums. Like we went to a bat museum one time, and we would go bird watching, and then we would have during the week our classes, either in like biology, ecology, and different hands-on activities like that. And then during the weekends, we would go farther out to different like tourist attractions and preserves. Like a lot of my pictures here are from the Monteverde Cloud Forest, or the waterfalls, the El Tigre waterfalls that we were able to go to. But overall, it was just a really valuable experience, and I got to meet a lot of amazing people, both from CIE and people around the country that I never would have met, and I'm still friends with and in contact with. And it definitely taught me a lot about independence, and it was my first time away from home for that long and in another country. So it was definitely a big difference for me, but it taught me a lot of valuable skills and a lot of things that I wouldn't have learned about sustainability maybe in the US. And I think it's really prepared me for a career in environmental science. So.
Awesome. Thank you all three for introducing your experience like that. I would love if anybody can speak up and ask a question. Otherwise, I'm happy to maybe have you guys maybe each, if you could describe like a typical day to give people a sense of what it's like, because you painted the picture for the overall experience and the learning goal. But it'd be interesting to see like how a normal day goes. Yeah, so we can go in order if you want of how you presented.
Okay, so for me, my typical day looked like, first of all, I would wake up in my host family's house, and then I wake up around 6, 5:30, although my host house was the closest to school from everyone else, so that was really convenient. But I would just get ready for the day, and my host family, they gave me extra keys to the apartment, so I would go down, and it was in the city center, so that's really the heart of Toulouse. So there was a lot going on there. It was really nice. And then I would walk to the metro. Once I get there, I'll use my metro card, which CIE provided, to get to school. So it would take 2 stops. And once I come out, that was Jean Jaurès, that's where it was. And I'll come up my second stop to the school, walk about 1,000 feet, and then be at school. So we had classes at a university. Ours was called ICT, which is Institut Catholique de Toulouse, so Catholic Institution of Toulouse. And we'd have classes regarding certain themes and culture. So I talked earlier about how we had a lot of cultural immersion, and something we once discussed was the topic of foie gras, which is duck liver, and that is a very controversial thing. So it was really interesting to hear everyone's perspective on that dish, which is really crucial to Toulouse's history and culture. And we also just were urged to use more descriptive vocabulary. So I think something that was really different from my classes back at school was that I was literally in the scene or the setting I was trying to describe. So there was more of a human aspect, because a lot of the times I felt like in class, when I'm trying to practice French, it's like, okay, bring out the vocabulary you learned. But then at Toulouse, I learned more about how to articulate my sentences and make it seem like an actual conversation, like I was talking to someone in English. So after we had our classes, we would have lunchtime, and every week we were given a 30 euro stipend, so we were able to spend money on lunch, and we could just explore the town or go shopping during that time. Then after that, we would have an activity in the afternoon. So this can range from museums, from dancing, going to castles, different things like that. And finally, we would head home to our homestay. And lunch was very, very late. So that was one thing I didn't get used to really easily. So we would eat dinner around 11 or 10. And my host mom would come to my room and ask me if I'm hungry at that time. And I had already dozed off because the sun would set at 10. So it really threw me off. I always fell asleep after classes, and she would wake me up to come eat. Oh yeah, and I would do my homework at night. So we had weekly activities. So I would try to work on my projects. So we had a project every week leading up to the Friday, and it was like a media assessment on the themes that we studied during that week.
Awesome, thanks. Emily, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, so basically, I was there for 4 weeks. So from Monday to Friday, it was pretty standard. So in the morning, I think it was from 9 to 12, we would go on cultural excursions. So like, for example, sorry, why am I like blanking out? Oh, we went to like the Picasso Museum, or like famous like Gaudi architecture, we like go around. Yeah, so there was a lot of stuff to do. Like every single day was different. I don't know why I'm like having a brain fart, but like I swear there was something to do every single day. And then from 12 to 1, we would get to eat lunch. So are your host moms, I mean, your host families were in charge of packing your lunches, but if you wanted to like eat out or something, because like lunch was like for an hour and or like a little bit more than an hour, I think. So if you did want to like go out to like a cafe and like get something quick, it was definitely feasible. So you either you can eat the lunch that your host family provided, or you could just go out. I know some people like went out during that like lunch break because it was kind of long. And then from like 1 to like maybe like 4:45, 5, we had language classes, and CIEE's like where they held their language classes, like their headquarters in Barcelona is actually really, it's like in the center of Barcelona. It's like a 5-minute walk from like that boulevard with like all the fancy shops. So like it was in like dead center of like Barcelona. The location was really great, and it was really close to like metro stations, bus station, everything. So like commuting there was also really easy. Like I think like max amount of lines you would have to transfer would be like 2. So that was really nice. And then after class, we would just commute home first because we were carrying like all our book bags and like computers and stuff, which like isn't the most like optimal for like walking and trekking around the city. So usually I would drop my stuff home first, and I lived maybe like 20 minutes, and I would take the metro. It was just 2 lines, but like I think it only took 20 minutes because I didn't time my like trains well. So like I would come there and then the train would be like gone, and then it'd come in like 5 minutes. Yeah, but commuting home would be like maybe 20 minutes, and I lived on like a slightly farther end. I know some people were like literally walking distance, which was a dream, but unfortunately I didn't get that, but it was fine. And then after I dropped my stuff home, we had a curfew actually. Our curfew was 9 p.m. just for like safety issues. I think one year there was like an incident, so like they made the curfew a bit earlier, but I think this year, because I was on another Zoom like similar to this on Monday, and she said the curfew, I think it's going to be 9:30 now. So that extra half an hour actually goes a long way, because like with commuting and stuff, you have to like really take into account like to like get home on time, just to like be respectful to your host parents and like the program and stuff. So from like 5:30 to like 8:30, because you have to like account in the commute time, you would have free time. So a lot of the time, especially like the last 2 weeks, we just ended up like going to the beach every day, which was like really fun, and that was really nice. But on the weekends, I think CIE organizes like 1 or 2 like excursions. So I forget the name of the city they took us to, but like Barcelona, like if this is like Spain and like this is like France and like Barcelona is like somewhere here, they drove us like up, and we were really close to like the French border, and it was also like a seaside town. And we got to see, I think it was like Roman ruins, and then also there was like a beach part of it, so that was really nice. And then also I think that was either on Saturdays or Sundays, and then on Sundays I think you had the whole day off, you could just do whatever unless your host family planned something for you. So for example, my host family, they had family in another city, like her parents. So we visited her one weekend, and we just stayed there, I think, the whole weekend, which was really nice because there was like no Wi-Fi. It was really like eye-opening, and it was really nice because like it wasn't like super urbanized, and like we got to like play in the river. So it was like really fun. So it kind of just depends on like your host family. I know some like host families like took them like shopping or like eating, or like they just like went, there's a lot of things to do. So like we did a lot. And then every week it was kind of like a mirror of the next, but like honestly I thought 4 weeks was a long time, but it passed by really fast. And like by the time we left, I was like, how have I been here for a month? So it was insane, and it was a really nice experience.
Jocelyn, do you want to share about your daily life in Monteverde? Thanks, Emily.
Yeah. So we would wake up at about, I think, so like 7 in the morning, and we would get ready and then walk to the dining hall, which was on campus, and then we would have our student life activity, which could be on or off campus, and that was various things that we would do as a group. And then we would, on the weekends or the weekdays, we would have our Spanish class, which was just more of a casual Spanish class, just so we could learn basic Spanish to communicate when we were off campus and practice our Spanish skills. And then in between meals and classes, we would just have free time to go hiking, or just spend time with each other, or finish any work that we had from our classes on campus. And after lunch, we would have our main climate change mitigation class, and that was taught by the teachers on campus. and we would do various activities like planting trees or working on the farm, or doing different research projects about the skills that we would learn and applying it to other places around the world. And then after that, we pretty much would have dinner and at the dining hall as well, and have more free time, and then have to do our daily reflections that were either on what we learned in class or the trip we would go on. For the weekends, we would go on an off-campus excursion, which were usually really the whole day, and we would go different places. So after that, we would, in between when we had our free time, we would go like hiking or do dancing activities or play games we would make up. And it was we mostly did everything together in one group. And that was something really special about our group, that we were all like kind of one big family, and it was really fun. So
thank you, Jocelyn. There's some questions popping up in the chat. A few about like the different kind of connections that you make on program. Can you guys, one of you, give me an example of friends that you've met like locally, that like outside of the group, like local teams? Did you get a chance to, either through your host family or peer-to-peer experiences, did you make any local friends, or were most of your friends American on the group? Go ahead, anyone?
So for me, I would say the friend I made, she was kind of related to the program because she was the host sister of one of my friends during the program. So she lives in Toulouse, and we just continue to talk after the program. And I think that it's not necessarily, or it wasn't necessarily easy to make friends for the Toulouse program, because I feel like so a lot of my friends were in different levels. So our classes were separated into intermediate, experience, and beginner. And a lot of my friends were in the lower levels. So speaking to people in Toulouse was really hard. And a lot of the times you don't really see young people around. They're usually hanging out in groups. It's kind of hard to just walk up to someone and then like make a friend. I think it will usually be like related to meeting them from another person, like through your host family or through your host family siblings. So yeah, I made friends with one of my friend's host sisters.
Awesome. Maybe someone else, can you talk about the process of making friends on the program? I know it's a little intimidating maybe to like go abroad with like 50 other students that you don't know. Can you, Emily, do you want to talk about that, like making friends on program?
Oh yeah. So basically, like I know for the language programs, they split you up by level. And then once they split you up by level, you're further split it into classes. So your class sizes, I think it's 10 or 12 people max. So they're very tiny groups. And then you're with this group for the remainder of the program. You do the cultural excursions in the morning with them, and you also do your language classes with them. So you spend the overwhelming majority of your time with your little pod. So I think it's pretty easy to get close, especially because you're interacting with basically the same people every day. So it's not like they're switching you up every single day, and every single day you have to like find new people to like hang out with. So it wasn't that bad. I think no one in my pod knew anyone from our pod. So everyone just like wanted to make friends. So I think it's pretty easy to make friends because everyone is like looking to reach out to other people and, you know, make friends. So it's not that bad. And you really get to get close with them. And I know for our dorming situation, you either got like a single or like a double, or like by double, I mean like you dormed with someone else. So I was in a single, but there was a couple, I think I was the only one in my pod who was in a single, but everyone else had like a roommate. And your roommate, if you do have a roommate, I think is also from your pod. I'm not sure if that was because of COVID or just in general, but like you might have a roommate. And if you do have a roommate, they're going to be from your pod. So that can also be a good way to get to know people because you also are living with them. So that's also a good way to make friends.
The pod is also something we did during COVID. There was a question earlier about asking if you guys went last summer, and which you did. And as part of the COVID protocol last summer, we were grouping students in smaller pods to like avoid a large group gathering and respect social distancing. Because all programs are now going to be all requiring vaccination, and because COVID numbers are doing a lot better across the world, I think some of those rules will relax. But it's good to know that you use that pod system to your advantage, though. Good for you. Kendall, did you have any question you wanted to feed?
Yeah, there was a question at the beginning, and I know when I studied abroad, I was super nervous about this. And it was like on the first day. So your first day, especially for students who lived in a homestay, did anyone help you get to the center, help you get to classes? Did anyone show you around? What was the experience like? If anyone wants to go. Yeah, anyone?
So for me, before coming to Toulouse, I had done some research on major sites so that when I was going places, it wasn't really like, oh, when I look at this, I'm like, oh, wow, that's so cool. But also I knew like the story. But in relation to my homestay, I think CIEE they ensure that we know where we're going at all times. So our first week of class is our homestay. Someone from our homestay escorted us to class for the first 2 days and taught us how to use the metro. So for me, at least, I know that I had never used the metro before, and with everything in French, it was a little bit confusing, but my host family was able to help me out and let me know what I'm able to do. And then on the campus, there were CIEE staff who were readily available for you. So there was both the CIE instructor who would speak French, and then the person who would be ready for you if you had any like urgent questions. So someone who would speak English. And we also had this like burner phone. So that way we had access to the CIE emergency number, and we were able to call our instructors during breaks and when we weren't on campus. So I think that the system worked overall because I knew that I always had someone I could call, and I could always contact my host family as well, and they could contact me. So it was really helpful.
Awesome, thanks for sharing.
I can add to that regarding transportation, right? Okay, so I think one thing I was concerned about was like not having like data, because like how am I gonna like access my Google Maps to like get around? But CIE actually provides, if your phone is unlocked, so that means it's like not like associated with like a specific like carrier. So you can like switch out this like SIM card for like anything. So basically my phone was unlocked, so they were able to give me a SIM card with like a pre-charged amount of data. So I was able to use Google Maps, which I think was really helpful. And like also like I know other people used other stuff. And then if your phone wasn't unlocked, I think they like could give you like an Android or something along those lines. But like either way, like you were gonna have like a phone. So like if you needed to like dial someone, you would like be able to dial someone, so you weren't like completely stranded. And then the transportation system, like public transportation system in Barcelona, is really, really like nice. And everything, it's unparalleled to like anything I've experienced in the US. Like the metro, it's so that we had a card, and it was like for all like public transportation within like the city lines of like Barcelona. So you could use it for like the bus, the metro. I don't know what else there was, but like those were the only two I used. So like the bus and the metro, which is enough to like get around. So I lived like I think 20 minutes from the CIE headquarters, so it wasn't that bad, because I think the 20 minutes, it was like a good amount of like walking, because I took like 2 stops and I had to like walk a block, so like it wasn't that bad. But the first day I was also really concerned. I was like, I'm gonna get lost, like I'm not gonna get to class. But the first day, your host parent, I don't know if this is for every program, but I know for the Barcelona one, I think the first day your host family was required to like escort you to school, and they'd be like, this is how you're gonna get to school. And that really helped too, because I just went on that exact route that she showed me for like the remainder of the trip. So that was really nice. So she like dropped me off, and I felt like I was in like kindergarten again. It was really nice. It felt really nostalgic. Yeah, but then after that, it was a lot of like Google Maps and like just like figuring it out yourself. And also the signs are like pretty clear. Just you just have to like know like which station you're getting off at. And then like I don't have a lot of experience like using the metro either, because I live in the suburbs. But it was a lot of like line transferring, and then like once you kind of like got the hang of that, and like looking at the times, because they like post the times they come, and they're actually really accurate, which is really great for like planning purposes and stuff. So like once you like kind of get the hang of it, which was like after like the first week, everything was smooth sailing. So I don't think that's a really big issue.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I know a few of you talked about this being like your first time like being away from home for a while. Can you talk about how you dealt with like homesickness, or did you experience homesickness, and what was that like?
I think I can share on that. I think a lot of us had different, in my program, a lot of us had different reactions to our trip. I think especially since we didn't have homestays and home families, it wasn't really like we were staying in like someone else's house. We were almost staying in like a more of a hotel like cabin situation. And it definitely was very different. Like we had internet and everything like that, but it was in the middle of the mountains in a very rural area. And for me, it was pretty similar to where I live, but in terms of like climate, because I live in Florida, except for the mountain part, that was not very similar. But a lot of people were from like California or like Chicago, and the culture and like the rain and definitely the bugs were and the animals that we would see in our cabinas all the time were definitely a shock to them, and I became almost like the designated bug remover of all the cabinas. And so I think it was by the end, people usually got used to it, like, oh yeah, that's just our new little friend that lives here now. But I think it was a shock for a lot of people, and just like, and it was a shock for me in terms of like just how really amazing it was. But there was a few times where I definitely like got homesick, or like had to get used to some things. But I think just being there with a lot of people who also were going through the same thing, and I was like living with them like in very close quarters, and we were with each other all the time, like, and we got comfortable with each other and like sharing our feelings very quickly. So that helped a lot.
There's a couple of questions on travel logistics. I'll give a quick explanation, and then maybe you guys can share what your experience was like. But like in the process of going to the country. So just so you guys know, there's two ways to fly to your destination. Either you fly on your own, and we give you like a specific arrival window so that our team locally can meet you at the airport. Or you can book a flight on a chaperone group flight where a CIE staff or program leader is going to fly with you. And those flights usually leave from major city hubs in the US. We decide on what those hubs are later in the year, like around February, when we know who the students are and where they live. But usually we offer 2-3 options, cities like New York, San Francisco, etc. And so a CIE staff is going to be waiting for you at the gate of the international flight. So if you live far from a big city, you'll take a domestic flight on your own, but you will meet your CIE group and the program leader at the gate of your international flight. And then we do that leg together, and then in country, we're all picked up by the local staff. So it's really fairly smooth trip. I don't know if, did you guys have any, fun anecdote about the travel day stress? it was stressful this year because of all the COVID tests and all that stuff, but actually it went very smooth and we didn't have any storms this year. Sometimes we can get like summer storms and it's like a mess. But any fun travel anecdote? No lost luggage?
I did have a problem.
You did have a problem, all right.
So I really agree. It was very smooth. And I don't, the problem wasn't related to CIE, it was related to the Atlanta airport. So what I did was I took a flight from Maryland to Atlanta, and that's where I met the group. And then we headed to Paris and finally to Toulouse. So it was very seamless, that process, because we're able to find the instructor who was to take us to France. But coming back, there was a very, very long line through customs in Atlanta. So I had missed my flight, but luckily because I used the group flight, I was able to talk with one of the instructors, and there were so many people who were willing to help. So what happened was initially she had offered that, okay, I would get a hotel room through the airlines. The airlines was willing to help, and they were going to get a hotel room so that I could stay there for the night and then have my flight rescheduled to the next morning. So I would stay in the hotel with another instructor who was on another program, or I could have like a ticket. I forget what it's called, but that was the first time I ever saw that. And I travel a lot. So there's this wait list system where they put your name on like hold. So you don't know if you're guaranteed your spot on the flight until the last minute. So that was very stressful, but they gave me that, and finally I was able to board and go back to Maryland. So I think that if I hadn't traveled with the group flight, it wouldn't have been that seamless. It was really amazing because I remember I was really exhausted. It was getting close to midnight and I was just ready to go home after long, long days of traveling. And then I was like, no, I don't think I can stay in a hotel. Like, I think I'm ready to go.
You can laugh about it now, though.
And, yes, I can.
And a lot of those adventures are part of, the experience and growing up as well. Sometimes we have grateful parents writing us after being like, you know what? It was actually a good thing that she went through that and saw through that.
Exactly.
And was able to bounce back. Can I ask maybe Jocelyn, what was the one thing you wish you knew before going abroad or to Costa Rica in particular? What was the thing you wish you knew and that you didn't know?
Something that I definitely wish I knew was that I was very anxious about like how I was going to make friends, and if I was going to be too awkward or I wasn't going to be able to make a good impression on everybody. But as soon as I walked into the airport, into the group flight, and like speaking of the group flights and everything, I think doing that was very valuable because mostly everyone did that except for a few people. And it was great for me because our group flight was in Miami and I live in Tampa, so it was really only like a 20-minute flight. So a few other people came from like California and everything. I felt really bad for them, but we ended up all like meeting each other when we were going to the flight to Costa Rica, which wasn't that long at all. But we ended up like immediately like hitting it off and already like playing card games at the airport. We were waiting for our flight, and I got to meet my program leader and the different people who would be going onto the trip in in all different groups. So we were able to like kind of meet each other before we went on that long 3-hour awkward van ride to the mountains from the San Jose airport. So that was very interesting, and I wish I knew that I didn't have to be so nervous. And then I think one thing I did know was the climate. I was very familiar with all the rain that was going to be there. So I think when you're going to like one of the programs that CIE has with like different climate where you're going to be like hiking and you're very, very outdoor based, because since we're in the rainforest, we were hiking and studying rain or shine, and it was like pouring rain. So definitely I said to a lot of people, water resistant and waterproof are two very different things. So that's an important distinction to make. So I think just doing your research is about the climate and everything is also a good idea.
And just a couple of words on that, we have an extensive pre-departure process that includes an online course that you take that gives you some pointers as to what to expect. Then we do an online orientation as well to go through more specific travel logistics for travel day. And then we give you a packing list. And then when you arrive on program, there is like a physical in-person orientation with the team that kind of gives you pointers as to what the neighborhoods are like, what it's like to take the public transportation, etc. But at that point, if you didn't pack your rain jacket, it's just too late. That's for sure. There's one question in the chat about, I'm not going to ask it to anyone because I cannot imagine that would happen ever in France. But did any student who went on the language immersion program experience rudeness from locals? That's what I want to hear. And we also, a big part, because those are language and cultural immersion program, we also give a lot of context to students on the cultural cues, and something that may be perceived as offensive in a country can be totally accepted culturally. I'm thinking, French people kiss each other on the cheeks, so it can be a little off-putting when you first meet your host family, something like that. But we try to give people cues like that. There's a few questions in the chat box, sorry, about the application process. I invite everybody who has questions about that to join our workshop tomorrow. We are doing an application workshop at 8 p.m. You can sign up on the same page that you sign up for the fair. I'm just going to put again the URL here, but we'll walk you guys through the main steps of the application and then help you troubleshoot. So if you have questions, it's a better space to talk about that. Tonight, I wanted to focus on our students' experience. Maybe I don't know if any of you got a scholarship, but is that something that you want to say a few words about? Maybe Emily, did you get a scholarship?
Yes, I did get the Global Navigator Scholarship. So when you apply, you're either applying for financial or merit-based. So financial, if you're applying for that, the amount of money you get, it really ranges depending on how much you need, because the programs are quite expensive. I know the Barcelona one, it's like 6 or 7K. So also you have to count in like the airfare and like personal spending, which I think everyone's gonna probably dish out a couple dollars here and there. So and then the merit scholarship is just a 10% discount off of the entire thing. So I did apply for the Navigator Scholarship, and I think it was just like I remember I applied actually my freshman year prior to COVID. I'm a junior now, and I wasn't able to travel freshman summer because it was like the height of COVID and a lot of countries were closing down. But I was able to travel my sophomore summer, so this past summer.
That's great.
So I'm trying to remember. I think it was just a couple essays. They honestly weren't that bad. There was like a max word number and it wasn't like super high.
It just asked prep. Yeah, it's a good prep to it's kind of like a personal statement, like why did you decide to study abroad, or explain like a difficult moment that you overcame. A lot of those scholarship essays are actually a good prep for your college essay writing as well. We talked about that in one of our workshops. But anyways, if you want to learn more about the application process, I really encourage you to dial in tomorrow. There's a good question, a few of them, about host families. Can you talk about your homestays? What are the families like? How did they get along? Did you build a relationship? I mean, Emily, you mentioned that you were still in touch with that family. I'll just give a caveat, is that we work with families of all shapes and sizes. So it can be a family with young kids. It can be empty nesters. It can be a single parent. An elderly couple. It's really, it doesn't have to be 2 parents, 2 kids, and a dog. It really, we have a variety and diversity of families we work with. Do you want to say a few words about your family, Emily?
Yeah, so my family, there was a lot of people in my family. It was really nice. So I had a host mom, a host dad, and then they had 3 young children. I think it was like 8, 11, and 12. And then they also had a cat. So it was a very lively household, and there was it was really nice. Just with the kids, because we weren't like in the same like age group, I really wasn't able to like hang out with them, because I know a couple of other people on my program, they had host siblings that were roughly the same age, so they were able to like hang out with like their host siblings friends and stuff like that. I didn't really get that, but they were really cute. I really liked them, and they were so fun to be around. I really liked how like lively the household was, and how like there was always something to do. And my host mom did a really great job of like taking care of all of us. Like I cannot imagine like taking care of like 3 kids and like hosting a student. So yeah, it was a really great experience. My host mom, like she always made sure like I was okay, and she like I really felt like I didn't feel like an outsider, which was really nice. And we got really close, which is really also really nice. Yeah, and my host mom, she is so sweet. So she actually runs like an Instagram account for like her sewing endeavors. And like I still follow her on there, and I'm like just always like seeing what she's doing. Sometimes like I reply and like comment to her stuff, and like we have like a little convo like catching up and stuff. But she's really, really nice, and I really enjoyed my host family.
And Iman, do you want to talk about your family? And I also wanted to say you usually have a double placement, so you're usually not alone in the family. You're usually with another student, typically.
So my homestay was just me, and
Okay,
I
thank you.
I had my host mom and 3 sisters. So one was my age 17, but she didn't come till up till 2 weeks before I traveled, because she was visiting relatives in Paris. And then there was one who was 19, Gael, and then 27, who was Maggie. And I think that I was very skeptical about it at first. I think just the whole concept of a homestay, but I kept assuring myself, like, CIE, they look at families extensively and make sure you're with a good host family. And also in your application, you have the opportunity to specify your interests and things you may not like. Like I know I wrote down I did not want a cat because I'm terrified of cats. I'm a dog person, so I did not really want any animals. And it was really easy through the application. So my host family was of Senegalese descent. So I think that it was very nice to have like an atypical household in a way, because I don't know, you might seem like, or it might seem like you get a host family who is just like a French white family, but it was nice to hear their own story and how the mother moved to France as well. And we got to learn about them through some of our homework assignments where we would spend time with them. And over the weekend, my host mom, she urged me to explore Toulouse, because I think that I'm a very introverted person. So if a lot of the times if people don't urge me to do stuff like that, I don't think I would. So she and my host sisters, we were able to go out to picnics and just to the park and things like that. And the final week, I got to go to a gastronomy restaurant with my host sisters, and that was really amazing because that was something I really wanted to do. So they took me there, and we all had an enjoyable experience. And one thing that was really hilarious was my host sister almost like threatening me if I spoke in English. Like it was very funny because she wanted me to only speak in French regardless. So when my host sister, who was 17, came back, she was like, speak in English, say something in English, to make her sister upset. So that was really nice, having someone who was making me continue to speak in French, regardless of whether I was still in the classroom or not. So we had conversations and things we found interesting and things we had in common, like traveling and fashion and different things like that. So it was really nice.
If you guys all had to say in one short sentence what that trip changed for you, either in your outlook on life or in your educational projects or your self-confidence, like what would you say?
One thing that I like to tell people is that my time in Costa Rica definitely um, solidified everything that I thought about the world, and that like my outlook on the world in terms of just like culture and like moral outlook. It definitely taught me and a lot of new things, but also like reinforced things that like, wow, there's other people who actually think like me. And that was good because definitely after like 2020 and everything, it was harder to have a positive world outlook. And I think after seeing what they were doing in Costa Rica, especially in like terms of like the environment, sustainability, it was all just incredibly impressive. And it was very helpful for me and what I wanted to do in my future career and everything.
Awesome. Emily, what would you say?
I think it just reaffirmed like my passion for like language studies. So I speak English and Chinese fluently. And in addition to Spanish, I've also been studying Japanese for a while. So in the future, I really wanted to go into like international business, which where like language is kind of like a really big component. So that's why I've taken like a liking to like studying so many languages. Like that's kind of like my niche that I'm going into. So I think by like going to Spain for a month, it kind of just like reaffirmed what I wanted to do, which is like study international business and like also do that in the future for like my career. So I think it was just an overall really nice experience, and it really like helped me like solidify my interests also because I'm like nearing senior year and like applications are coming up next year, which is going to be very, very soon. So overall, I think it just like strengthened like my narrative and like my passion. So I think it was a really great experience.
For me, the one sentence I would say is don't trust stereotypes, because I came to France and I thought that French people would be rude because of everything you see in the media. But funny enough, people in Toulouse were really, really interested and really impressed when they saw we made an effort to speak in French to them. And they wanted to learn more about where we were from and our interest in the language.
Awesome. Just going back to the chat, there are a few questions. Do you have to be fluent in Spanish in order to do the language and culture program? Emily, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, so you do not have to be fluent in Spanish, but I think you have to have 1 year of like Spanish learning. And I think like I don't think it has to be in like a high school setting, but like you should have like some like background knowledge.
Equivalent.
You don't have to be, like, anywhere close to being fluent. But they do split you off into 3 levels. I think it's like beginner, intermediate, and like advanced. I don't know what the exact names are, but I know most people got placed in like the intermediate. But even if you don't get placed in like your desired level, you get a lot of like real life experience like speaking Spanish, because like you're surrounded, like all the signs, all the people, they all speak Spanish. So like you're really like immersed in the environment, and like even if you're like not super great at Spanish, you just like pick stuff up because you're living there for a month, and that's kind of like all you're doing. You're just like trying to like figure out what people are saying, and like when people are saying stuff and you don't know what it is, like your instinct is just to like, oh my god, like what are they saying, and you're like trying to figure it out, and then like you just like pick up on stuff. And I think that's like the best way to learn a language, is just by like being immersed in the environment, because you really get to like fully concentrate on like this one particular thing that you're doing, which in this case is just learning the language. So no, you do not have to be fluent, short answer.
There's a couple of logistical questions. Anybody had trouble dealing with the jet lag? Briefly, Emily. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Animan. Sorry. I think we make sure that you guys stay really busy the first couple of days so that you don't give in to the jet lag and fall asleep.
Yeah, that was the goal. It was crazy because I really wanted to rest, but I think with those activities, I adjusted really well. But as soon as I arrived in my home, I didn't even lay in my bed for up to 30 minutes. And my host mom was like, okay, get up. We are going to my friend's house. I was like, oh, okay. And then I ended up falling asleep on a hammock in their house. And when I woke up, I did it as a way to say, like, okay, I'm tired without being direct. But then I woke up and they were still there talking, and I was acting like I was tired. But I think that first day was like, okay, this we're here, like, get used to this and adjust to the time difference. But it wasn't too bad, honestly. After
Yeah,
that
we
day,
make
I
sure
was
it's
done with
we make sure the schedule is packed. There was a
right.
question earlier I forgot to ask in the chat that was about like, how did you guys choose the program? Because there's just so many options. Can someone talk about that process, what it was like? Did you come in with a very specific idea what you wanted to do, or was that a discovery process?
Yeah, I can say a
Yep.
little on that. I knew I wanted to definitely do something with the environment, and like CIE has a lot of different things and different topics for the environment. So I got it down to 3 options. To Monteverde was my first, and then Botswana, and then Perth, Australia. And those were all similar topics. And pretty much what it came down to, even before COVID, was it's just pretty much airfare and like adjusting to certain things. I knew Costa Rica would be the most easiest to adjust to in terms of climate and time change. It's only an hour difference if it's the equivalent to Central Time. So it would, and then it came to also be, I wanted to be more immersed in more like Latin American culture because I'm half Puerto Rican, so I kind of wanted that more also. So it was multiple factors, but a lot of it was definitely airfare that I had to pay. So
awesome. We're reaching the hour, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time and time zones. Before I wrap up, does anybody want to, and I'm talking to the attendees here, and does anybody in the audience want to speak up to ask one last question, or if I missed anything in the chat? Also a burning question. What's the sentence they use in weddings, like speak now or never?
I have a question regarding the scholarships. So for those of you who did get scholarships, was it difficult for you to get, the rest of the money remaining, and also like with the whole flight things, or was that covered for you like by your parents or something like that?
Sorry. Okay. I received like 100% for the tuition for the scholarship based on financial need, and then like I was saying, the airfare wasn't that much for Costa Rica. I don't know what it was for like transcontinental flights, which was probably a lot more. But I just ended up saving the money along with my mom, and we paid for it. Yeah.
We do have on our website, if you go under the funding, like the scholarship section, there is a tab that's called fundraising. And we put together a little fundraising toolkit based on alumni input, actually. So all the ideas and the methodology in there is inspired by what alumni have done in the past. So that should give you good strategies to raise your own money. There are various ways to do it. Now's a great time to start saving and ask for Santa also. Like if you're gonna get any gifts during the holiday season, it's you can ask for contributions toward your trip or start fundraising.
I actually got really lucky with the airfare because I took advantage of this EU law where it's if your plane is delayed a certain amount of hours, they have to compensate you. So I actually got compensated. I think it was like 600 euros. So like my flight was only, I think it was like a little over $1,000 both ways, but like I got like a $700 like US dollar like check in the mail because I like sent a really I sent an email to Delta and I was like, hey guys. Yeah, so they actually compensated me. So I ended up paying like $300 for airfare, which was, I got really lucky on that. But like at the same time, I was in the airport for like 10 hours. So like how lucky was I? Like they basically just compensated for the time you like wasted.
Wait, Emily,
Yeah.
about what you said about the euros, so that like actually just reminded me, how did you guys transfer your money from US dollars to like euros or pesos or whatever it was like for your trip?
Yeah, so I recommend that you get some euros, like maybe 100 or 200 before you go to Spain. Like just I think you can just like go to your bank or something and they can, but you have to like, you can like transfer it. But then like when you are in Europe and you're like swiping your card, there is like a foreign transaction fee. It might be like 1-2%, and like it does add up if you're like constantly like tapping it. But at the same time, when you do when you do exchange the money, there is also like a fee. So like either way, you can't really get around it. I think the best idea, like I know before I went, my mom actually like she like applied for like a credit card under my name, and like this card specifically, I think like the benefits with it in terms of like international like exchange rates and like the upcharge that they put was a little lower. So like I guess you could do that, but like at the same time, like if you're not spending like a lot, like this 1 or 2%, like it won't like add up like really, really badly. But I think you should always be able to like have some cash on hand, like just in case something comes up. And I think you should also be able to like have access to money on a card. It doesn't have to be like a lot, but you should like just like have access to money just in case you need it. So yeah, just like maybe like go to your bank before you go there, because like it's like a hassle, you know. And if you go to the ATM, like there's like fees and stuff like in Spain, and like I don't know, I think my mom has some experience like traveling in Europe, so she's like go to this like specific bank and like use this specific card. So like, there's a lot of like maneuvering around, but like I think you should just do some research and like figure out what will like work for you.
I just wanted to mention, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say quickly that everything on the program tuition is included, though, like anything from ground transportation, museum visits, food every day. So the money you're going to spend on the side is really pocket money, you know, to buy souvenirs, a snack, a treat, something like that. So the amount you're going to spend depends on your spending habits. But if you were very frugal and didn't have any extra money to spend, you will be able to enjoy everything on the program. Sorry, just want to mention that. What did you say, Kendall?
I was going to say, and we also provide instructions pre-departure on like how to do that. So you won't go on the program blind. We have resources for you to walk you through cell phones, money, all of that to prepare you before you leave.
Absolutely. Thanks. That's a good reminder.
For Spain, I just saw a comment. I don't think you can change money, but like if you have like a debit card, you can just take out money. I think you can do that because I'm not 18 and like I was able to like take out money a couple times.
And for money in Costa Rica, most of the country, their currency is colones, but considering they're like a high tourist country and they're also in like just Central America, they used dollars, especially in Monteverde, which was a heavily tourist area. So, and we didn't have any issue. We got like colones in change sometimes, and we made sure to like use most of them by the time we left. But pretty much it was all dollars.
Yeah, and for euros, like the exchange rate, like if you search it up, it's probably like $1.20 USD is like €1. But like once you like factor in like the like exchange fee and like the upcharge, which like is just associated with like every bank, and like every time you take out money, it's going to be close to $1.25 is $1. So you have to like keep that in mind. I think euro is probably the one where it's like more than the US dollar, but like at the same time for Spain, like Spaniards, like overall, I think I think my host mom was talking about this, their salary is a bit lower. So like costs of like everything is in proportion to their salaries. So the prices were not like outrageous. So yeah, but if you do buy, even if you do buy like an ice cream here and there, it like kind of adds up, because like if it's like 3-4 euros, that's like $5-6, and then like like all these like tiny things like add up at the end. So, and like you just go out with your friends and like you might be like, okay, I'm not gonna spend money today, but then like everyone else like gets like an ice cream, you're like, God damn it, I have to like buy one too. So like you never know. So just like have some money on hand just for these like social situations, you know, or like if you just like want something, you know.
Well, thanks everybody so much. And I also saw that you left your email addresses kindly in the chat. That's wonderful. So if any of you on the phone has further questions, it sounds like Emily, Eneman, and Jocelyn are willing to connect with you and answer your questions by email, which is awesome. Thank you. If you have not started an application and are interested in starting an application, they can also share with you their referral link, which will save you $200 on the trip, and that can be accumulated with the scholarship. So if you're interested in going, definitely shoot one of these awesome alumni an email so that they can share that with you. I want to thank all of you guys for dialing in tonight. Thanks, Kendall, for joining. And thank you for our Rockstar ambassadors. You guys are awesome.
Hi, I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Before you go. Being recorded, how do we access it if we want to, you know, re-listen to it, or if there's a student that did not get to attend? I'm
going to put it on our YouTube channel and on the website. In the same, we have like a tab on the website for virtual presentations where you heard about the Global Navigator Fair probably. So on that same tab, I will put all the videos there, and we'll email also everyone once it's up. It's going to take a couple of days to process everything. So it may be more like toward the end of the week, but we'll email everyone with a link to the page where that's saved. So you can share it with your children if they could not attend tonight.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Super. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to turn off the session, but thanks again for dialing in. And good luck with the application process. Don't forget to log in tomorrow if you want some tips.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, Emily.
Bye.
Thank you.